to lead.
You have to kind of work twice as hard.
Good morning and welcome once again to the Friday edition of The Conversation. I am Nkamian John.
And I'm Adesua Osui. Welcome to the show.
As always, we've been doing our bit to keep our ears to the ground, Searchlight beamed across Africa, and this morning we intend to bring you up to speed with all that has happened, what is happening, and possibly what to look forward to as the weekend progresses. So, without much ado, we'll bring you up to speed with developments across Africa, and we start from the West African state of Mali, where security forces in Mali dispersed a protest in Bamako Wednesday as they fired tear gas at dozens of protesters during an unauthorized march against the French military's role in the country. Now, you must, for those who don't know, a little bit of history. The French were colonial masters of Mali. Mali is actually Francophone. Now, earlier, Bamako City Hall had banned the protest against the French military, citing COVID-19 restrictions. The protesters on motorbikes, convoys, managed their way through police roadblocks. The protesters were in a central square of the Malian capital, fled before canisters were fired. And one of them was quoted as saying, "Today we have understood that the authorities need popular support more than confronting with the people. It is in this logic that we have decided to postpone today's activity, but we are going to continue the fight in a different way and with authorities," Amadou Lami Diallo, spokesperson for the organizers of the event, said. In recent times, we're seeing all kinds of uprising across Africa, and mostly spearheaded by young people. But in the case of Mali, while they are protesting against the activities or the role of the French government and military in Mali, is because about a month ago, or barely a month ago, the French military hit a wedding, or is alleged to have fired upon people at a wedding that took place in Bamako, in Mali.
Terrible.
You know, and but the French government and the French military has denied that they did carry out military operations, but they did not hit any civilian. That they were certain that the target they hit were jihadists. Now, Mali is one of those West African countries that has been, in recent times, has been overrun by insurgency. Mali has witnessed in the past year or two, over 3 or 4 coups, almost back to back. And so it is one of those countries. We've seen our own President Goodluck Jonathan visit Mali, representing the AU envoy, UN envoy, all in a bid to be able to stabilize that country and create a stable government and governance system.
Okay, quite an interesting turn of events in South Africa, you know, with the raging COVID-19 pandemic around the world. Economies around the world are nosediving, and we're recording inflation rates, crazy inflation rates. But for South Africa, with the consumer price index of 3.3% in 2020, South Africa has recorded its lowest inflation rate since 2004. Quite interesting. Positive news from South Africa. Statistics in South Africa attributed food and non-alcoholic beverages as the main drivers of inflation in December, with a monthly increase of 0.5% and an annual rise of 6.0%. This was up from November's annual reading of 5.8%. Meat prices rose by 7.3% from a year ago and by 1.2% from November. This is quite positive. I do hope it stays that way, because post-COVID-19, not really post-COVID-19 because we're seeing the second wave of the pandemic and the virus, but to be recording the lowest inflation rate they've had in 16 years. I think that's quite interesting. That's
Well,
quite
I think
positive.
first things first, countries like Nigeria should understudy South Africa and ask and try to find out what they did right to keep prices, relatively low
Yes.
within the reach of the common people. Because I could easily say where the problem is with Nigeria, where you have an inflation rate of almost 16, 17%. Is because we do not have price control mechanisms or systems. Once prices go up in Nigeria, they hardly
down.
ever come
Yes,
down.
exactly.
So, but in countries like South Africa, where they have price control systems and structures, so that the factors of production, economic factors that naturally, or economic dynamics that should naturally play out, you can actually see those dynamics play out and predict or forecast what the economy would look like, within a certain time frame. That is not necessarily the case in Nigeria. The dynamics in Nigeria are peculiar because naturally the factors of production and economy that should play out, for instance, they say with the higher demand, the more there is a demand, naturally the price should come down.
Yes.
But the higher the demand, the
exactly.
prices go up.
I think that's all I've ever known since I became wise enough to know this is how the market works and this is how it is. I've always known that once there's an increase in demand, the prices skyrocket.
It just shoots up.
Yes, exactly.
Shoots up.
Okay, going to the next story. Armed men opened fire overnight trying to storm the residence of a provincial governor in Sudan's restive Darfur region, but were repelled by guards, officials said on Wednesday. There were no injuries or damage, thankfully, in the attempted attack on West Darfur Governor Mohamed Abdallah Al-Duma's residence in the provincial capital of Janena, but it underscored the heightened tension in the restive region where a bout of tribal violence has killed around 230 people since last week. A statement from the governor said the attempted attack sought to create instability and chaos in the province. There was no immediate claim of responsibility, and the statement did not say who the attackers were. I think it just goes to buttress your earlier statement of restiveness in different countries across Africa.
Well, this one is for Bolaji. I remember about 2 or 3 days ago, you said, hey, what's happening? Sudan has not been in the news. Well, Sudan is back in the news, and precisely Darfur. Unfortunately, Darfur has always been a reference point, a dominant reference point as far as the Horn of Africa is concerned, and most particularly to Sudan. Darfur has experienced a whole lot of chaos. Is it food shortage? Is it unrest? Is it? And it's saddening that up till now the Sudanese government have yet to be able to find solutions to be able to quell the restiveness in that in that country and be able to forge ahead in terms of development, growth, both internally and externally.
It's beginning to seem as though issues of insecurity is a paramount issue across African countries.
I think it is a matter that should at this point should become the most important. It should be at the top of the priority list for the AU, for regional bodies like IGAD, SADC, ECOWAS, and the rest of them. Because Africa can truly not say that it will make any significant progress until it's able to quell the subject of insecurity, terrorism, insurgency, and it comes down to our orientation in terms what is our understanding of peace, peaceful coexistence, neighborliness. These are things that are integral for the growth and development of any country.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to Uganda, where on Wednesday, foreign diplomats were briefed on the just concluded presidential elections. Of course, I have said it here that we have not heard the last of the elections that took place over the weekend, which resulted in President Yoweri Museveni winning a sixth term in office. Now, we hear that despite the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic, government ensured favorable space for free, fair and peaceful electoral process. This is according to Sam Kweitesa, the country's foreign affairs minister, who made that in a statement. Now, Kweitesa said the heavy security development in the capital, Kampala, and surrounding areas during the election process was intended to ensure domestic tranquility, the security and welfare of Ugandan citizens.
Okay, I'm wondering though, if they're so sure that the elections were free, fair, and very well conducted, why did they shut down the internet? Why did they stop?
Why is the likes of Bobby Wine still under house arrest?
Yeah, why is he still under house arrest? Like, there are questions that need answers. So you cannot just come out and say, oh, I show you the elections were free and fair and no hitch or anything. We can see.
All right, more developments as far as Uganda is concerned. The European Union and the United States have called for probe into Uganda's election violence, even as the opposition leader Bobby Wine remains under house arrest. Now, Uganda's longtime leader, President Yoweri Museveni, was declared the winner of a record sixth term amid an internet blackout and allegations of abuses. Now, Uganda's opposition leaders and supporters have complained of numerous harassment by the state security before and after the election.
That's quite interesting, though. So right about now, we're going to take you to our COVID-19 updates. Welcome back. That was COVID-19 updates from across Africa. Now, the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention has announced the commencement of COVID-19 vaccines pre-order program for all African Union members. The move by the Africa Medical Supplies Platform on behalf of the Africa CDC came a week after the announcement by the South African President and African Union Chairperson, President Cyril Ramaphosa, on January 14th, that the AU has secured a provisional 270 million COVID-19 vaccine doses for Africa through its COVID-19 African Vaccine Acquisition Task Team. The AMSAP, on behalf of the Africa CDC today, commenced the COVID-19 vaccine pre-order program for all AU members, and Africa CDC statement issued late Tuesday reads. Well, still on the COVID-19 story, Angola tests travelers from South Africa, Brazil, and Portugal. I think that's a step in the right direction. Angola has imposed fresh restriction on air travel passengers to prevent the importation of the coronavirus variants. On Wednesday, the Central African nation recorded 82 confirmed cases. Travelers from Brazil and Portugal will have to provide a negative test of the virus before being allowed entry into the country. This new measure is in response to reports of the virus variants in the aforementioned nations. The trip went well without any danger, thank God. We flew well in tranquility, really. And I'm amazed at the organization we saw here at the airport, an organization that deserves to be greeted. May it continue, Pedro Gomez, traveler from Portugal via Germany, said.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll jump straight into what's happening on the front pages of the national dailies right here in Nigeria. All right, welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, well, we're just about getting to the core of the show. It's the newspaper review part of the conversation, and don't forget, you can be part of the conversation as far as giving us your views and comments as it relates to any subject on every edition of the show, just by becoming part of our online community, simply by following and liking TOS TV Network on all our social media handles: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to check us out on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So we start this morning with the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust. On the Daily Trust, very interesting headlines, I must say. The Daily Trust this morning, if you ask me, tells you, it gives you a feeling of what the issues are as far as Nigeria is concerned. Politics is the major issue and is building up ahead of the 2023 elections. Okay, so let's start with the headline on the left-hand side, slightly beneath the Daily Trust logo. It said, "Unpaid bills, electricity supply to Shagari's house cut off, restored."
Okay.
Former president, Nigeria's first democratically elected president, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, in the Second Republic, President Mohammed Shehu Shagari. You know, his house in Sokoto State. I've been there. I know the place, so his house is basically like half of the street. You know, so. You should check that out if you like a bit of, you want to know what's happening as far as former President Shehu Shagari's house is concerned. 2023, low turnout as Yoruba Summit pushes for Tinubu's presidency. Low turnout. Now, this has been on the table for a long time. It's a known fact that former Lagos State Governor, Senator Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has his eyes on the presidency in the build-up to 2023. But the stories, the fallout of the Yoruba Summit is that there was low turnout. Is that a suggestion that the Southwest is not in support of the Tinubu presidency ambition? We'll find out from the Daily Trust. And you have Fulani free to live in Ondo, monarchs. Well, I'm not surprised at that comment, you know, especially with the federal government issuing some very, strong statements to the governor of Ondo State, Akeredolu, insisting that the Fulani headsmen should remain in Ondo State Forest. Now let's go to the big one, and this is a subject that is a constant in as far as Nigerian discourse is concerned. Jega Nwodo Adebajo, restructure Nigeria now. It has a rider. We also need attitudinal change to solve our problems. And guess who's saying that? Former President Goodluck Jonathan. Interesting. So if you want to get the details of that, grab yourself a copy of the Daily Trust, and right there, on the front page, you see a beautiful picture of President Goodluck Jonathan and Jega, former Minister of Information, Labarang Maku, and a host of other notable Nigerian politicians who were part of a summit that has taken place. In fact, I can tell you that in the last couple of days or weeks, there has been a whole lot of political activities going on with political leaders coming together, trying to find workable solutions to the project called Nigeria. And at the bottom of the Daily Trust, you have this headline with a black background. It says, governors disown Yahaya Bello over COVID-19 vaccine claims.
Okay, so we're going to head over to the Nation newspaper this morning. talking about restructuring Nigeria, I'm going to start with that one because that's like the major headline on the nation. It says Jonathan Jega Nwodo Obe disagree on restructuring. So while your headline is saying they have to restructure Nigeria, this one is saying they're not agreeing on maybe what the restructuring
I'm not surprised.
process
Let's
should
not forget a little bit of history. Don't mind me. I'm a bit of a historian myself.
of course.
Under President Goodluck Jonathan, there was a constitutional conference, and the document that came out as a result of that constitutional conference, or sovereign conference, as they called it at the time, is yet to be fully adopted and implemented. So if former President Goodluck Jonathan disagrees with Jega Nwodo on the lines of principle, it will be based on the fact that he is informed as a result of that document, because you had the creme de la creme of Nigerians cutting across all sections, demograph, in that conference, trying to prefer a workable solution to the Nigeria of the future.
Okay, quite interesting. So here it says, who said what? Discussion on restructuring will not help except we restructure our minds. Some of the issues at the national level exist at local levels. That's former President Goodluck Jonathan saying
I agree. There has to be a total reorientation of the I think the biggest question that stares you and I, who are either Nigerian, or, and I think it's even a question that stares every African in the face, is, if you say you're a Nigerian, the question is, who is a Nigerian?
Okay.
Is it because you were born Nigerian?
Here, yeah.
Is it because you hail from a part of Nigeria? Or is there a particular character, attribute that makes you Nigerian?
Okay. That's quite interesting. So Ataihu Jaga is saying the best strategy for success is the pursuit of systematic, incremental, positive changes through non-constitutional amendments. So we don't probably need to do anything to the constitution. And Nwodo, any delay may lead to a mass boycott or disruption of the next elections, to the point that we may have a more serious constitutional crisis. And then Baba Ahmed is saying we are ready to engage anybody, anywhere, anytime to discuss. It is wrong to say that the North is opposed to restructuring. So they're really not in agreement on this one. So the COVID-19 situation, NEC okays local vaccine productions. Buhari okays 6.45 billion naira for oxygen plants in states. I know yesterday you were saying we need like the most expensive oxygens, yeah? So 6.45 billion naira has been assigned to take care of that. Governors slam Bello for ill-advised comments. Another lockdown ruled out. El Zazaki's wife tests positive in prison. Government to mitigate impact on children. 39 Edo health workers infected in 72 hours. 4.6 million get vaccination in Britain. The stories are on page 4, 5, and 6 of the Nation newspaper if you're really interested in that story. And then there's a headline just like bottom part in red and yellow. It says stolen government property found in Okorocha's warehouse. I can't believe in 2021 we're still having to deal with issues of stolen funds and stolen government properties and stuff like that. Well, you want to say something about that?
It just tells you the nepotism in the system.
Oh, okay. All right, still on the Nation newspaper, the African Development Bank forecast Africa's loss of $409 billion to COVID-19 in 2 years. Africa loses $409 billion to COVID-19 in 2 years. That's a forecast. Like, if it keeps going this way, that's what we are going to have to deal with. Amazing. So just on the top left corner of the Nation newspaper, more support for Ondo's quit notice to herders. ARG unions, it's okay. And terrorists didn't overrun military base, says the DHQ. And then LIRS to employers file tax returns by January 31st. New teachers' retirement age takes effect this month. Those are the headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning. Quite interesting headlines, actually. If you're really interested in the story, get yourself a copy of the Nation newspaper.
All right, let's go to one of my favorite newspapers, the Business Day.
I knew
Don't
that
mind me. But don't be surprised when you hear I am the next Dangote of Africa, right? Okay. All right, now, saddening headline here. Because why is saddening? Because just yesterday, if I remember correctly, Stephanie Odia, was excited at the news report that suggested that Nigeria's healthcare system had improved as a result of COVID-19 and all of that. But guess what? This morning, on the front page of the Business Day, it says, quality healthcare elusive despite promise of world-class hospitals.
I'm wondering when we are going to get it right with healthcare in Nigeria. I keep wondering.
It's very simple. It's until we can answer the question. So many questions. That's what controversial John does. He asks his questions. What is the value we place on the life of any Nigerian, regardless of where you hail from in this country? What is the value of a Nigerian worth, the life of a Nigerian worth? If we can answer that question, our approach to sectors like health, education, development, would be completely different.
Anything to better the life of Nigerians.
Still on Business Day, declining investment inflows add to MPC's headache ahead of Monday's meeting. There's been a lot of capital flight in Nigeria in the last almost 1 year. The subject of insecurity has been major because investors want to know how secure their investments are, physically and financially. And of course, let's not forget, though the Naira seems to have stabilized in the last couple of weeks, staying at 470 to a dollar and coming down to about 385 thereabout, showing that the Naira is muscling up against the dollar, is bringing some confidence back as far as the economy is concerned. But of course, people are waiting to see whether the government will make true its promise that Nigeria will come out of recession by the end of the first quarter of 2021. Don't forget, Nigeria has suffered two recessions in a spate of very short years. So that's what it's looking. And then still on Business Day, PFAs raise holdings in equities to 800 billion naira and the market takes notice. So again, more indicators saying that the Nigerian market, the stock market and the economy is tilting towards the green.
Okay, on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, quite a number of headlines, interesting too. I will start at the top right corner, that's the top corner on the left. Biden lifts Trump's immigrant visa ban on Nigeria. Atiku asked him to help Nigeria fight terror. That is interesting. COVID-19 vaccine alarm, you're on your own, governor tells Bello. That's the one on Yahaya Bello that you spoke about earlier. Erico, ex-Eagles coach, dies at 71. Minister, NFF mourn. That's quite sad. That's quite a sad one. Nigeria's trade deficit rises 11% to $1.27 billion. Okay, so moving on to the very glaring headlines, still talking about restructuring Nigeria. Jonathan differs with Uwodo, Jega, others on restructuring. And underneath that, we can't restructure Nigeria without tackling tribalism and nepotism, Jonathan. 1999 Constitution fraudulent, Ayo Adebanjo. How Nigeria can be restructured. That's Nyan Wodo saying that. And Nigeria has worst model of federalism globally. Atahiru Jega is saying that. That is quite interesting. But as you said, I think I do agree with the former president, Jonathan. We really cannot restructure Nigeria without having to deal with
There has to be an attitudinal change.
Yes, exactly.
That is one of the things, the ideologies that late Dr. Dora
Akuyili,
was trying to sell when she brought forth the idea of rebranding Nigeria. She was trying to let Nigerians know we needed to have a mental change. You can't, if you can't see it, you can't have it. You can't chase it. So the question is, what kind of Nigeria do Nigerians see? What kind of Africa do Africans see?
Exactly.
So if you see a progressive, industrious, prosperous Africa, a great Nigeria, a powerful Nigeria, a financially independent Nigeria, then you can pursue that.
Yes.
But when you see a Nigeria that is backward, always in the negative, that is the Nigeria you will envision.
Yes.
So I agree with President Goodluck Jonathan. There is a need for attitudinal change, mental change, psychological change.
Very important.
Very, very important.
Very important. Okay, so moving on, we have just on the right-hand side of the Vanguard newspaper, we'll use oil, gas revenue to stimulate growth in other sectors. That's President Muhammadu Buhari saying that. And then still on the COVID-19 issue, federal government releases 6.45 billion naira for oxygen plants in 38 locations nationwide. And then still on COVID-19 headlines, COVID-19 vaccine, Africa in danger of being left behind, says the World Health Organization. Out of school children drops from 10 million to 6 million in 2020. That is quite an improvement, if you ask me.
True.
And then Jonathan differs with Nwodo Jega, others on restructuring. That is basically the headlines on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Interesting stories. You should go out there to get a copy of any of these national dailies.
Yes.
And don't also forget to check out some of these stories trending on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. All right, I have The Guardian. Now, I have said this, The Guardian is one of my favorite newspapers, maybe because I've read The Guardian from my boyhood days growing up. But today I'm pretty excited because it's not The Guardian Nigeria, but I'm giving you The Guardian UK. Now, one of my favorite actress and actors, if you've watched James Bond, 007, you've probably seen her in the movie. Her name is Judi Dench, and she says, my COVID jab and why I'm no national treasure. She's taken the COVID-19 vaccine, and they've done an expose on her experience after taking the COVID-19. Of course, the UK is one of the European countries that were first to get the COVID-19 vaccines, and they have been rolling them out in different phases to ensure that virtually everyone across the United Kingdom gets jabbed up, using that English phrase. All right, still on The Guardian UK, gaping headline on the center of the newspaper, it says, revealed, plan for £500 payment to self-isolate if you have COVID-19. £500.
So there's an incentive.
Yes.
Just to make so people can actually get to self-isolation.
Yes, it's to motivate people to come up. Exactly. Because I think there's something to borrow from here. COVID-19, like one of our guests said on the show, is beginning to look as if you have AIDS.
Exactly.
There's some sense of stigmatization that goes with it. And so because of that, the government is trying, in the UK, is trying to encourage people to say, hey, come out. If you get tested and you find out that you are asymptomatic, we will pay you to be isolated. So you're not losing. The fear of not making money during that period of isolation, you know that we've got you covered.
Yes.
That's exactly what the UK government is doing.
That is quite encouraging, very encouraging actually.
All right, still on The Guardian UK this morning, Biden tells America help is on the way. I like it when presidents make those kind of statements. Very positive, very progressive. you know, and I think that's the attitude and the nature of Democrats.
Yes, exactly.
And finally, on the front page of The Guardian, UK this morning, Northwest and Wales devastated by floods.
Quite
Climate
sad.
change.
Yes, exactly.
That's all I can say. In fact, in the capital city of Nigeria, Abuja, this morning, it looked as if we were covered by a fog. Cars had to drive with their almost full headlights on. Almost at 7 a.m.
I was
7 a.m.
surprised.
this morning, it still looked as if it's looking like winter.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, what's happening? Okay, so on the Daily Times, coming back to Nigeria, on the Daily Times, the Daily Times put the Yahaya Bello headlines in an interesting way. He says, governors disown Bello for rejecting COVID-19 vaccines. That's quite an interesting way to put it. If you really want to read on that.
No, but you see, this is where I have a problem with the way we tend to approach issues. Yahaya Bello, beyond being a governor, is an individual. He's a citizen, and he's entitled to his opinion.
Yes, exactly.
If he has come out to say, look, I don't trust the vaccine. I think those vaccines could kill us. And we've seen all kinds of stories making the rounds across the world where vaccines are specific for Africa, and it's written on those drugs not to be used in the US, not to be used in the UK, not to be used in Europe. So Africans have a right to be suspicious that, wait a minute, why can't we take the same vaccine President Joe Biden was given? And we've seen some rich, influential Nigerians and Africans leave the country, go abroad to go take the jab. So it's enough to make people suspicious. Does it mean if I can't afford to fly to the UK or to America or to the United Arab Emirates, I can't trust whatever vaccine I would get in my home country? So these are tenable, justified questions. So I don't see why we need to politicize everything. If Yahaya Bello says, hey, I don't trust these vaccines, it's his opinion and he is entitled to have it.
Yes. And if they have a problem with it, they could just look into why. Exactly. Okay, so moving on. OPC lawyer back Akeredolu over headsman quit notice, NEF kicks. I don't think we're going to see the end of this story anytime soon. Akeredolu and the headsman.
No.
I don't think we'll see
it's an evolving story, not a developing story. It's an evolving story because there's a whole back and forth between Akeredolu, the presidency, and then now you have a third party, the monarchs. The monarchs are like, okay, since the presidency has spoken, the headman can stay, but we will hear from the people. The people too will react.
Yes, because they're the receiving end of the whole thing anyway, so yeah, we should hear from them. Okay, so on oil and gas, Nigeria will maintain regional leader position in oil gas industry, says President Muhammadu Buhari. And then on stock exchange, trading reverse on NSE indices drops by 0.12%. And on US presidency, Biden issues order undergoing key Trump policies on first day in office. I think he set the ground running. No time to waste.
I tell you, I have learned so much before, during, and after the US elections, before, during, and after the presidential inauguration. This is how leadership works. You don't wait until the minute it is indicated that you have been gotten the mandate of the people. You need to hit the ground running, especially in situations like in America where COVID-19 is the #1 issue on the plate of Mr. President. The economy is #2. Security is number 3. You do not have an option but to hit the ground running. What has Biden said to the world? Though, as president-elect, he came knowing who would make up his shadow cabinet, who would make up his entire cabinet. So he had a plan, and not just a plan. He understood the need to be able to how to put that plan into effect. And I think it's a major lesson take home for African leaders. You understand? I mean, let's look at Nigeria. First term of Mr. President, it took him over 6 months, almost a year, to determine who would make up his cabinet.
Yes.
You know, and the slower the man at the helm of affairs is in taking major decisions, the greater the resultant effect it has on the generality of the country, the economy, and the structures of government and governance.
Okay. It just goes to say Biden has been working in the background even before all of
Exactly.
this. He already was working.
Some people will tell you that it's not surprising because he's been in the system so long, so he knows what to do and all of that. And that, again, is a take home for everybody. It's important that it's not just about vying for leadership. You must have experience. You must have cut your teeth, get your fingers burnt, know where the loopholes are. So you are coming from the backdrop of two things: experience and superior mindset.
Amazing. Well, that is the headlines on the Daily Times this morning.
All right, let's go to the Nigerian News Direct. Interesting developments on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. Let's start with the stories on top of the News Direct logo on that front page. Interesting one: Buhari reappoints Hamza Bala Usman as NPA MD, approves board membership for NPA and the TCN, that's the transmission company of Nigeria. Now, next to that, you have COVID-19, government faults Bello, FEC okays local production of vaccines.
That's one step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction, but for you to get Nigerians to trust that vaccine, the process has to be transparent.
Yes,
Nigerians have to be guaranteed or overly guaranteed that the vaccine is potent and no lives will be at risk.
Yes, exactly.
We saw what the US did with the vaccine, the need for data collection, the need for a whole lot of things to be done to get people to trust the vaccine. You have another headline there: 2 million credit alert sends Ilori driver to prison. He gets a 2 million naira alert and he's off to prison. So if you want the details of that, I like that headline.
I like it. I
the
was going to say the same
suspense.
thing. Yeah,
You need to get a copy of the Nigerian News Direct.
Yes.
To get the meat of the story. And now let's go to the major headline on the front page: tax collection. Buhari orders MDAs to grant access to FIRS. Yes, the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Okay, and at the bottom right-hand corner of the News Direct, Nigerian News Direct, you have Buhari inaugurates National Oil and Gas Excellence Center in Lagos. 2021 budget will capitulate Ogun to fastest growing economy in Nigeria. That is that statement attributed to Okun Badejo. And of course, finally, 3G, 4G telecoms towers in Nigeria now 53,460 according to Dambata. That's the DG of NCCs. That means across Nigeria, telecoms towers now amount to about 56,460.
Okay. So the last daily we have for you this morning is the Blueprint newspaper, and the Blueprint always have quite a number of headlines this morning. I'm going to start with a very glaring one that's still on restructuring Nigeria. Discordant tunes at Trust Dialogue. Restructuring alone can't solve our problems. Jonathan Jega. So under that we need to restructure our minds first. Just the way you put it. That we need to restructure our minds first, says the ex-president, that's good luck Jonathan. And then ex-INEC boss, that's Jega, is saying it's no guarantee for stability. And then Nwodo and Adebanjo says our constitution faulty. I think they all have a point actually.
No, I don't think the constitution is faulty. The problem with the constitution is that it does not truly represent the yearnings of the people.
Okay.
And the constitution, the way the constitution was drafted, it has a big question mark. So you have a constitution that is not completely or totally accepted by the people. So that constitution is not truly recognized. That's why the constitution seems to be of no effect.
Exactly. Okay. So moving on to the right-hand side of the Blueprint newspaper, says rural dwellers to enjoy access to cooking gas in 2021, says NNPC. On the COVID-19 issue, Buhari approved 6.45 billion naira for new oxygen plants. And then federal government recourse to borrowing from Central Bank of Nigeria, weakness in finance management, says Fitch. And then allow FIRS access to your database, Buhari orders NDAs. That's interesting. I like to see how that plays out. And then on the main, MTN Glow orders risk 1.16 billion naira revenue loss daily. Buhari orders special focus on Zamfara banditry. And then the not very glaring headlines just at the bottom of the newspaper. Blasphemy. Court frees 13-year-old, orders a retrial of Kanu singer sentenced to death. Oh, I'm kind of interested in that one. Katsina. Principal arrested for raping impregnating 12-year-old student. Wow. That is disheartening. Wow. And then in Delta, 60-year-old woman found hanging on a tree.
Interesting stories. I did tell you that in the build-up to the weekend, you will find some stories that will wow your imagination, right? Okay, so that's the much we can take on the front pages of the national dailies. And as we said earlier, if you are interested in getting the meat of any of those stories, go grab yourself a copy of the Daily Trust, Business Direct, Business Day, or any of the papers we touched on. And of course, again, do check out the updates on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. We'll take a quick breather, and when we get back, Adesua will be bringing us what's trending on social media.
Welcome back. We are gradually getting to the end of the conversation this morning. This segment is the trending segment. Looking like it's beginning to be my favorite part of the program, because aside from being on a lighter note, I get to just, laugh at what people are saying concerning, issues in the country. And you did mention earlier that the climate change, and then this morning there was fog, and you were wondering what was happening.
I didn't even take note that it was trending on social media.
Interestingly, because I woke up this morning, I was like, why is it so cold? Because, okay, for those of you who aren't Nigerian, there's a season. Nigerian has the dry season and the rainy season, and then there's the Harmattan season that's in between. It's dry, dusty, and then it gets really cold at night, and then in the morning it's foggy.
Adesua, simply put, our own winter.
Our own winter, like Mr. John puts it, our own winter. But the thing is, it's supposed to happen between November, we're expecting it in November, it didn't come. December, it didn't come.
It actually did. It sent us a precursor, just to let us know it was on its way. It was taking its time.
But I think the flight got delayed, like really, really delayed, and we all like, there's no
I guess Harmattan was watching COVID-19 and said, let me see what COVID's got planned.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe the Harmattan didn't want to catch COVID.
Possible.
You understand that?
Just possible.
But surprisingly, I think in a few days, everybody's feeling the burns of Hamilton, and it's been trending on social media. So I'm going to take a few tweets on about that. So this lady, Swiss 25, says, so Hamilton finally decided to grace us with its presence. Lady Cody says, such a weird country. Hamilton, by this time, I blame Buhari. LOL. I think President Buhari always
Buhari
gets
has
blamed
it
for
in. He doesn't know how much everybody blames him for everything. I mean, you get a cough, you blame Buhari.
I say seriously. And then this guy at Gienam says, this Hamilton been making me feel like I have corona. I mean, you're just suddenly cold.
Dude, go isolate, self-isolate.
Please get tested. I think you might have corona for real. And then this lady, or I don't know if it's a guy, I_am_build says, I used blankets for the first time in 5 months. This Hamilton struck past me. All my training for Canada now looks useless. I mean, that's quite interesting because like Canada is one of the coldest regions, and then it's comparing our Hamilton to Canada. Well, and then this lady says that she's the Thai Lulu. She says this Hamilton is the parent that fell asleep in front of the TV, trying to pretend he wasn't sleeping since. If you're Nigerian, you would understand that one. They're not watching, they're sleeping, but you can't change the channel. I mean, parents do that.
After all, I'm the daddy.
Exactly, that's what I'm looking at you like.
I'm the daddy. Do what daddy says. That's how you become a good kid.
Well, that is it. That's the much we can take. That's the tweet for today. Thank you so much for joining the show. And you know, as Mr. John has clearly said over and over again, you have to be a part of the conversation and you have to join the community. And to do that, you have to follow us on all the social media platforms. It's TOS TV on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel, TOS TV Network. And TOS TV is also available on TSTV, channel 138 as TOS News. I am Adesi Sui.
I am Kamian John, and just before I say goodbye, don't forget to obey all COVID-19 protocols. Wear your face mask, wash your hands regularly, especially under running water. Carry with you a sanitizer everywhere you go, and try to clean surfaces, doorknobs, door handles, stair railings, car steering, especially if you're not the only one driving the car, okay? And stay safe.
If you feel like you have symptoms, please get tested.
See you next week.
When we look at the issue of freedom to lead